Today's Monday, right? Just want to quickly address something from yesterday's video. If you don't care, look at the timestamp on screen, skip to that. I'm just going to briefly go over it. Essentially speaking, I'm going to keep daily uploading till the end of July. Once July ends, I'll move to that new schedule, going to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with an extra video on the weekend being probably the SCP server once it starts. Either way, let's get into the video. In today's Origins mod showcase video, I'm going to be covering the Doctor Strange based Origin created by the user known as Spectre from the Origins Discord server. Of course, this is based off of Doctor Strange from the Marvel Universe and the movies, the comics, and everywhere else that he's been seen. So, most of these abilities are kind of based off of what he's been shown off in the movies, and that's where it's mostly based upon, but there are some little bits and pieces that come from everything else too. This data pack is for 1.17, and it might work on 1.16, but it might also break a lot of things, and maybe certain things that are exclusive to 1.17. You kind of know the gist of this by now. Practically speaking, it's made for 1.17. You might get it to work in 1.16, but things might break. This does work for 1.17.1, don't worry about that either. But before we get started, I'd just like to ask you guys to hit the subscribe button down below, as well as hit the like button, as there's over 100,000 of you guys who actively watch more than a couple of my videos, and it'd be appreciated if just a few of you guys hit the subscribe button down below. Either way, let's get started. Let's roll into the description of this origin. Doctor Strange, formerly renowned surgeon Dr. Stephen Strange, now serves as the Sorcerer Supreme, Earth's foremost protector against magical and mystical threats. Moving into the abilities, you've got Master Sorcerer. You're able to shape and manipulate eldritch magic, which is your primary ability. So there are two variants when it comes down to this primary ability. First off, you've got the Shield of Sarum, which will create a magic shield that will protect you from all types of damages when you use your right click button whilst you press your primary button. And your secondary ability, with your primary ability, you've got the Seven Sons of Sinnebus. This deadly spell is able to generate an enormous blast of fiery energy, essentially speaking, pressing your G button, your primary ability key, and then hitting left click. So let's go through and how this actually functions. When you press your primary ability button, you'll have the ability to use one of the two abilities. What happens is that the Doctor Strange magic circle appears around your right hand on your Minecraft character, and then you either press left or right click in order to use one of your two abilities. This will keep you in magic mode still, so in order to get out of it, you just have to press your primary key button again, and then you'll be put back to a normal Minecraft character instead of being in the magic mode. So starting off with your primary attack ability, with this ability, when you use your left click button, you'll shoot a few fireballs towards whatever you're facing toward. Quick bit of warning here, if you have fire tick on, be careful on what direction you shoot it at, because if you shoot at anything wooden or anything that can burn, this will spread and light up whatever's around it. This ability does a fair amount of damage in comparison to what most things do. Can one-shot a cow, didn't try it with other mobs just yet, but his ability at the same time, once you use your attack ability, you will be blind and given nausea for a few seconds, and you'll also be given max slowness, pretty much disabling your ability to move for a short amount of time. Practically speaking, this ability will make it so it's a bit more painful to you. When you use your attack ability, you'll be slowed and your movement will be stopped overall. This ability has a very short cooldown of roughly 10 to 15 seconds. Another quick piece of information, this ability is also ineffective if your target is in water. It will pretty much make most of the effects of this ability null and void. Moving into your defensive ability, this one is also pretty interesting itself. This will make you completely immune to damage for around 15 seconds before the ability wears out. The cooldown for your primary defensive ability is around 30 seconds as a cooldown, whereas it'll be around halfway through the cooldown charger when you get to the end of the actual resistance itself. It gets roughly the same effects at the start of it, with a bit of nausea and blindness and mega slowness as like a flashing thing as you use in the ability, but then you get given max resistance and a fair amount of slowness. You're pretty damn slow, but you've also got an extreme amount of resistance, making so you don't take any damage whatsoever for the time frame that you're in that ability. Moving into your secondary ability, you have time manipulation. Using the Eye of Agamotto, which housed the Time Stone, you had the ability to control the flow of time. As with most other abilities similar to in nature of this one, it practically slows down the game, kind of. It slows down the movement of mobs and everything around you in that nature, but doesn't slow down the ticking of damage, as you will notice in this clip. But the zombies take the same amount of pace of damage as they would have with the time being normal, but their movement is noticeably slower on land than what it normally is, so it's a bit of a weird thing. You won't exactly know that the game's been slowed down until you see mobs moving at like a tenth of the speed of their normal thing. Moving into the Clock of Levitation, there's two abilities that work and function with this one. First off, you've got Flight Assistance. Sneak and jump at the same time, and you'll be given the levitation effect for a handful of seconds, and combat assistance. When you get hurt, your cloak will pull you back, which is your passive ability. So first off, going through your levitation ability, as said already, when you hold the shift and space button at the same time, you'll be given 10 seconds of levitation, you'll float up into the air. Some of the beauties behind this is it's going to be a really good way to escape situations in mixture with the next ability we'll go over in just a brief moment. But another beautiful thing that this does is it also counters the whole slowness and blindness thing that you gain when you use your primary attack ability as you're floating throughout the sky, meaning that even when you use your primary attack ability, you'll get the normal effects, but you won't be slow at all. You'll still be moving at roughly the same pace as you was beforehand. Moving into your combat assistance, when you get hit by any form of mob or anything, take any form of damage whatsoever, you'll be pretty much shot back in what is kind of like a very powerful knockback. A knockback of which that you have kind of some amount of control over, not too much precisely, but enough to at least have a bit of potential to move in a direction of your own choice. Also, when you're up against like even a one block wall, this might completely negate what the ability does, but still burn the cooldown anyhow. But one of the more interesting things with this ability, it will knock you up into the air a few blocks as well, so you'll be able to use it in conjunction with your levitation ability to escape any form of situation you might have gotten yourself into. Moving into your next ability, you've got the Bill Comes Due. You have a bar that will fill up whenever you use your powers, and when it reaches max level, you'll get blindness, nausea, and slowness. Now, this is the ability that I was talking about just a moment ago with how we have the ability whenever you use your primary attack ability, you'll get slowness and nausea and blindness and all this mixed into one. Now, that actually is a separate thing with its own separate bar, which is the top bar that's always on your screen at all times. It's a yellow one with a bit of a flame on the side of it. Practically speaking, the closer that is to full, the closer you will be to activating this ability on accident. Now, what happens is roughly your primary ability will do more than half the bar, so you've got to be very careful of that. As you use maybe your primary attack and your primary defense, you'll be given these effects. And the other thing about it is the bar won't automatically reset when you get given these effects. They'll slowly cool back down regardless if you get the effects or not, meaning you can get it twice in a row or 3 times in a row depending on how often you tend to use your abilities. Moving into your next ability, you've got Magic User. You are unable to use normal weapons, but a little bit of a thing that you come aside with that is the fact that you also have Strength 4, so it kind of counteracts the fact that it allows you to use your bare hands and still do a fair amount of damage, but you just can't use normal weapons anymore. Moving into the next thing, you've got 9 lives. You have 1 less heart of health than what normal Minecraft players do, and again, this one's self-explanatory. You have 9 hearts instead of 10, so, you know, pretty normal for Minecraft standards. And then going to the next thing, you've got Large Appetite. You exhaust much quicker than others, thus requiring you to eat far more than the average Minecraft player. So, let me know, what do you like about this origin? What are your thoughts on it? It's a very complicated magic-wise one. Once you get to understand, it's actually quite a bit of fun. It's a bit on the overpowered side, I do have to admit. But let me know, what are your thoughts on it? What do you think about it? You think it's a good one? Do you think it's a bad one? What are your thoughts? Either way, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to slap that like button down below. Also, big bit of news, the members SMP server is coming very, very soon. I'm like setting it up right now. And also, massive thank you to my channel members, my $10 member, especially Decept. And until next time, guys, goodbye.